You've probably heard a lot about Oumuamua, especially a few years ago. Talk about a strange interstellar visitor went viral across social media. And now we have the third detected visitor from beyond our solar system. But what was so strange about these objects? Specifically, one Oumuamua discovered in 2017, and 3 Atlas discovered in July 2025, apart from being the first interstellar objects detected entering our solar system. When astronomers first detected Oumuamua, they noticed it would have sharp dips in luminosity periodically, which means it must either have been a highly elongated object or a flat object tumbling over lengthwise in its trajectory. The strangest thing about it was the fact that it accelerated without any apparent reason as it was heading away from the sun. It was a very slight acceleration, but easily detected by different instruments. It displayed zero evidence of outgassing as it neared the sun, which can theoretically cause comets to slightly accelerate. The only way it could have achieved the acceleration it displayed is if the solar wind caused the acceleration, which would only be possible if the object was very flat and thin like a sail. Astronomers propose that hydrogen ice may be responsible since the gases released would be invisible, but it has been proven that hydrogen ice cannot survive the journey through interstellar space, and a large amount of outgassing would be required, which would have been easily detected. The current consensus among astronomers, backed up by all the evidence gathered so far, is that it must have been a disc-shaped object, not cigar-shaped. NASA turned their Spitzer space telescope on it and found that it was highly reflective, way more reflective than a chunk of rock or ice should be. Could it be metallic? Is Oumuamua a derelict spacecraft or a piece of debris from some sort of craft? Astronomers only detected Oumuamua as it passed the sun and was already moving away from us, so they had very little time to study it as it got further and further away. However, if Project Lyra is approved and launched in 2028, then we will be able to intercept Oumuamua just before it leaves the solar system in 2052. What makes Atlas strange is the fact that it is traveling almost perfectly on the sun's ecliptic plane, with an inclination of only 5 degrees, which is already rare by itself. And on top of that, the astronomical odds of it passing by, not 1, not 2, but 3 planets at their closest points in their orbits, all except for Earth, which will be on the exact opposite side of the sun, at the exact time when we would have the best view of it. That is precisely how we time the launch and plan the trajectory of spacecraft to pass by planets. This is the reason why certain scientists are not content to simply dismiss such impossible odds as nothing more than pure chance. Some scientists suspect that something more than just coincidence is at work, such as Harvard scientist Professor Avi Loeb.
Unusual fact about its trajectory is that it comes very close to the inner planets other than Earth, like Jupiter, Mars, or Venus. And the chance of that happening, given the trajectory, one can change the arrival time of this object, and only in 1 in 20,000 cases you end up with such a close proximity to the planets, because they orbit around the sun, and the chance of being so close to them is very small. So the unusual trajectory of this object offers the possibility that it might have been designed so as to have some goals of a reconnaissance mission. So it's possible that it's a comet, but if that's the case, it will become very clear as it comes closer to the sun and gets heated, so that its evaporation rate gets much larger, and then the glow of dust and gas around it should be apparent.
While most conservative theories about Atlas is that it is simply a comet, which would be composed mostly of water ice, but when scientists duly analyzed the noise spectrum, what they found completely contradicted the water ice theory. Observed signals rise where the water model predicts a fall, and fall where the water model predicts a rise. Atlas is much larger than Oumuamua and traveling much faster, more than 60 kilometers per second. It is not necessarily an elongated object, as it is not dimming as Oumuamua did. It does display evidence of having a coma and cometary tail, albeit faint. However, it still appears very much unlike any comet we've ever seen. Atlas appears to be very compact and almost spherical, with very little deformation in shape. With a surface that is more reflective than rock or ice, this makes it look very bright. We don't know how old it is or where it came from, but certain astronomers estimate that it could be at least 7 billion years old because of its velocity and the age of the stars in the direction it appears to originate from. However, it is impossible to know exactly where it came from, since it would have been influenced by the gravity of an unknowable number of stars on its journey through space. Since we haven't actually directly analyzed samples of it yet, we cannot know its true age or composition. When 3I Atlas passes by Jupiter, NASA's Juno spacecraft will be able to intercept it by making a small course adjustment and fly through its tail to take samples. The truly strange thing about 3I Atlas is its incredibly unlikely, perhaps impossible trajectory. Well, impossible for it to be purely the result of coincidence. First, it appears that it is coming from somewhere near the center of the galaxy, from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, the direction in which our sun is traveling, and intercepts the sun on its ecliptic plane almost perfectly, dodging countless comets and rocks in the Oort cloud. Since it is traveling along the ecliptic plane, it also had to dodge infinitely more comets and rubble in the Kuiper belt, which are packed more densely along the ecliptic plane, all the while avoiding detection by all our instruments. It passes Mars so close as to gain a gravitational boost, but not too catastrophically close. Then at its closest approach to the Sun, the Earth will be on the exact opposite side of the Sun. Then it passes Venus and aligns with it and the Sun at its perihelion. Then on its way out, it has yet another close flyby with Jupiter. The ridiculous odds of its trajectory and timing is enough to merit serious observation and investigation. It is extremely unlikely for this trajectory to be the result of pure chance, because, keep in mind, it is not in orbit around the Sun. It is on its own one-way course through the solar system, never to return, then onwards around the galaxy, which is why it is so improbable to intercept the solar system in this way. It is a one-time interaction. If you like this video, please subscribe. This is a very small channel, so every new subscriber really helps a lot. What no one talks about is that an intelligent race might not want to broadcast their existence, their location, or even their technology. Perhaps they would want to disguise their probe before sending it into a potentially hostile universe. This could easily be accomplished by hiding a probe in an asteroid or just covering it up with a large amount of rubble so it looks like a comet. We could possibly even do it with our current technology. In fact, this is far smarter than sending an undisguised device with large dishes and photovoltaic panels, golden-plated records containing information about our DNA, and a nice map to our location. Why even send messages out into the universe unless you expect or hope for some intelligent life to answer your message? What if they are hostile? Hell, what if they aren't? What if they come here to help us and we don't like what that help entails?